Hello to everyone, and hope you're all healthy and safe. Pesach is nearly upon us, and we know the main themes of Pesach are the removal of chametz and eating the matzah. We eat matzah because when we left Egypt, we didn't have enough time for the bread to rise, the dough to rise, so we baked it on the way out in haste. But there are many other important aspects of Pesach as well. For example, there's slavery, the 10 plagues, story of the burning bush, our exodus and freedom from slavery in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea. Many significant events happened over Pesach. But it seems that we call the entire festival of Pesach Chag HaMatzot, the festival of the matzah. It seems like the most important theme. Not only that, but chametz, leavened bread, and its byproducts are one of the most serious sins we can do on Pesach. You can't eat it, you can't own it, you can't see it, you can't even benefit from it. So we must come to the conclusion that matzah is the central theme. Well, if we go back 2,000 years, ancient Egypt, it's the most powerful country in the region, probably even the world. The ancient Egyptians were advanced in many areas, in poetry, astronomy, architecture, art. They had a very advanced culture. But their culture was built on the utilization of slaves. It was built on the backs of other people. And a lot of peoples, including the Jewish people, came to Egypt as refugees. They were running from famine, they were running from plague, they were running from war. And Egyptian culture took advantage and put them to work. And as we know, the Jews built the cities of Pitom and Ramses. The Jews were at the receiving end of this Egyptian arrogance. Egyptian culture was all about taking advantage. When Hashem took us out of Egypt, the central lesson of our freedom was to reject Egyptian culture. The lesson of Pesach is to help people who are oppressed or at a disadvantage. If you look at one of the oldest in the world, the Spanish Haggadah, as the Haggadah starts off, where it invites everyone, Kol dichfin, yesei ve'echol, everyone who needs a meal, come inside, there's a picture of a lady distributing soup to the needy and the poor. The message of Pesach, since time immemorial, has been not to take advantage of the disadvantaged. So how does this fit into eating matzah and getting rid of the chametz? Well, interestingly, the word chametz could come from the Egyptian word chemia, which means black earth. The Egyptians called their country Chemia. In the Bible, in the Torah, the Hebrew for Egypt is sometimes referred to Eretz B'nai Cham. In ancient Greek, Egypt was called Chemoia. In Arabic, Alchemia. It's possible that the word alchemy came from there, alchemy meaning science or the transformation, like chemistry. The word lechem, bread, comes from the word cham, which means heat. There was a famous anthropologist, Heinrich Jacob. He wrote about the history of bread. And he says the Egyptians perfected the process of allowing dough to rise with yeast in order to make bread. But the problem in Egypt was you could have plenty of bread, but it was only at the whim of Pharaoh. Bread was distributed at the command of Pharaoh. No one was hungry, but they had no independence because Pharaoh decided when you could have bread. It was part of their culture. Giving bread to each person as they needed it was an expression of the arrogance of Egypt and the power of those that were under their thumb. For us, the main theme of Pesach is sensitivity to others. Throwing out our chametz is a symbol of throwing out and rejecting Egyptian culture and the attitude to those who are disadvantaged. Heinrich Jacob also said, when he suffered in Buchenwald, he said, bread can be very holy when everyone can eat it. But bread can be very profane when it's given out in measures to only those who you want to have it. Matzah, our matzah bread, is the rejection of the leavened bread of Egypt, the rejection of chametz. As we know, matzah is a poor man's bread. It's a symbol of humility. Pesach is the time when we become a nation. And what is the role of our nation? To help others and to look after those who are oppressed. That is the symbol of matzah. This year will be very difficult for many of us because our seders and our yontif meals will be much quieter. We won't be with our extended families. But this reminds us of the time when we were in Egypt, on the night that we left Egypt to freedom. Each family was also alone in their own house. No one could go outdoors while the plagues were hitting Egypt. And we know that each family was together, but they had to identify their house as a Jewish house. And they did this by smearing the blood of the Paschal lamb on the doorpost, the mezuzah. But the way they did this was very interesting because we are told that you had to take a bundle of azov, hyssop, a grass-like material, bundled together, and then that's how we applied the blood to the doorpost. But that bundle had a very important message because it showed us that even though we were with our families by ourselves, we were not alone. We were part of the Jewish nation. We were bundled together with everybody else. And this Pesach, we will also remember that. The fact that we are alone in our homes, but know we are part of a nation in Australia and around the globe. In this environment, we remind everybody the importance of the Jewish people and of becoming a nation, which is looking after those that are in need. And what's important is that we reach out to everybody, whether it's our neighbors, our family, our friends, give them a call before Yontif, make sure they're okay, and just see if they need anything. That is what the Jewish people are all about. Wishing everyone a very happy and kosher Pesach. May we all be safe and healthy, and we look forward to the final redemption when we all return to Israel, Lashana Haba'ah, Yerushalayim Habnuya.